Good morning to everyone, respected speaker on the dais. I thank the organizers for actually giving Indian Oil this opportunity to present the view of Indian Oil on the integration opportunities in refinery and petrochemicals. I have a small presentation. We'll run through this presentation wherein I'll also. So if you look into the petrochemical ecosystem, we can divide that into actually three areas. Building blocks, which are primarily, there are 9 building blocks in the various products that come in, like methanol, ethylene, propylene, butadiene, benzene, orthoxylene, paraxylene and all. And the intermediates like phenol, PTA and all. So there are 22 intermediates, and there are around 52 Indian finished products. The finished products are being used by the various downstream industries. And the intermediates are produced by either some of the major companies or at the MSME levels also. So this is a big ecosystem in India, and this ecosystem is growing. So what are the petrochemical types and classifications based on the applications? We have got the commodity polymers, which is the polyethylene, the polypropylene, the polyvinyl chlorides, and the polystyrene. Then we've got fiber intermediates like PTA and MEG, and the synthetic, in the rubber section, we got the synthetic rubbers like styrene, butadiene rubber. Then we have got the detergent intermediates like LAB, and the performance plastics, which goes into automobiles and other performance areas. So if you look into India, the overall scenario, who are the India petrochemical producers? The private sector dominates this area with a capacity of about 28 MMTPA of capacity, about 71%. And the PSUs have about 11.5 MMTPA with a market share of around 29%. Reliance leads this area, and in the PSU area, it's by Indian Oil. So my earlier speaker has already talked about the per capita polymer consumption. If you look at India, the per capita consumption is only in the range of around 13, whereas the world average is 38. The highest consumer is the US with 93, followed by China at 83 kgs per capita. So India has a large potential for growth. As the economy grows and as more people come into the strata of the economy increases and more people comes into the middle income group, the per capita polymer consumption is going to increase. So there's a large market, there's a large opportunity for petrochemicals and polymer growth in India. So we come to the topic of petrochemical integration. Why petrochemical integration? We expect, not only we, the global scenario expects that there would be a plateau in petroleum transportation fuel products. So it's natural. It's going to 2030. By around 2030, the petroleum product consumptions would be hovering in the range of 1100 to 1150 MMTP million tons per annum. So the and we see actually petrochemicals growing up exponentially during this period. So there's a natural actually shift that would be taking towards petrochemicals. So the integration levels, my earlier speaker has also talked on these. We talked of the basic refining. In basic refining, we have the petroleum products only, which produces the transportation fuels. Now we have come to refineries like Refining Plus, which the refineries have got refineries, and they have got the benzene toluene sections and propylene productions. Then going a little bit higher, it includes a refinery, a steam cracker, and a paraxylene complex. And almost a full integrated refinery will have a refinery, a steam cracker, a paraxylene complex with downstream intermediates like production of PTA and all. So Reliance and companies like Indian Oil's Panipat refineries are actually fully integrated refineries. So we have talked about also the crude oil to chemicals. If you look at the crude oil to chemical, it has received a lot of attention in this present year, Because if we go into the earlier slides, I've shown that the petrochemical growth is going to be there. So people are trying to actually maximize how to actually basically valorize crude to petrochemical straight away. So one of the pioneers is actually China, who has actually taken a lead in that. Hengli Petrochemical China came in line with the 42% chemical conversion. The plant has been commissioned in 2019. Then Zhenjiang came in commission in 2020. Then there are other actually areas where actually these integrations are coming. Saudi Aramco is coming in big with SABIC also. So there the conversions that they are planning is in the range of 75 to 78%. So what are the crude to chemical pathways? In the conventional process, we straight away take actually crude oil, and whatever naphtha that is generated typically in the range of about 9 to 12% is getting converted either in a steam cracker, and if you have a BTS section, it goes converted into a benzene toluene. ExxonMobil is also developing a process wherein they are taking light crude and straight away putting it into a steam cracker, and they would be generating This Hengli plant in China is taking mixed crudes of a little bit of a higher API, and that crude oil is being converted to paraxylene totally. I'll be showing a little brief on those also. And this Saudi Aramco configuration will be converting the crude to chemicals straight away. So if you look into this Hengli's refinery, it's a paraxylene complex. Straight away, actually, it's processing about 20 mmTP of crude, and it is taking about 42% chemical conversion, with major production being paraxylene. So what they're doing is actually the light hydrocarbons is going into the C3, C4 fractions, and is going into PP productions and MTB productions, whereas the diesel fractions are going into hydrocrackers, and the bottom fraction, the residues, are going to a resid hydrocracker configured along with a solvent dewaxing unit, and the gas oil is being hydrocracked, and that hydrocracked TA is being sent, is ultimately generating naphtha and is being sent directly into the CCR and the PX complex. And they're getting a conversion of about 42% straight away from crude oil. So this type of conversions or this type of plants are having a large amount of actually change in the whole complex. If you see the Hengli production capacity, what it has done, it has increased the production capacity of the refineries and the petrochemical multifolds. I'm just showing here, the typical capacities were ranging in the range of around only 1,500 to 1,800. When Hengli came in, they brought a world capacity of 4,500 plus. So these are the major actually disruptions that are going to happen, are happening in the petrochemical sector. And I'm now coming to the Saudis' approach of actually steam cracking crude oil. What they're doing is they're taking a light crude oil, sending straight into a hydrocracker. And from the hydrocracker, the visual components, or the heavier portions, is being sent into an FCC. And from the FCC, it is being cracked, and it's generating some amount of gasoline, but the light olefins are straight away given to the crackers. And from the distillation section, right from the C1 fractions to the gas oil sections, is being actually cracked in the crackers. And here they are achieving a conversion of almost 78%. Another approach that is being worked into and is being discussed is actually this approach to steam cracking of crude oil. In this, what is happening is that they're taking the crude oil, the light crude oil, into the naphtha cracker, into the cracker. And in the cracker, what they're putting is, they're putting it into the convection zone, and they're actually splitting up putting it into a drum and separating it out the heavies, the gas oils. And that gas oil fraction will go into the refinery, but the whole naphtha portion, which is about 70%, would be actually cracked in the naphtha steam cracker. So it's a complex integration of the actually crude into the naphtha cracker. This is one option that is being studied presently. So these naphtha crackers are again creating actually dynamic shifts and huge shifts into these capacities. You can see when Aramco's and this Aramco is actually doing with SABIC one project, another project they are doing with CLG, Chevron and CBI. When these two projects comes, these capacities are going to jump up like anything. Almost about 7 to 8 times fold capacities are going to come into the productions. So now I'll come to the major petrochemical market. If you see what does change when Hengli plant was commissioned, we can see that the red portion is China's production. In 2019, that plant was commissioned. And you can see how much of actually paraxylene capacity came into the market. And subsequently in 2021 and 2022, they again finally actually stabilized those plants so that we have got additional capacities coming into the year. So China has added enormous PX capacity resulting in global oversupply. Presently in paraxylene market, we are in a global in an oversupply situation. And if you look at actually what had happened to the market, in 2020, the naphtha and the paraxylene spreads drastically reduced because of these overcapacities. And many of the, if you can see down of the year, there are some units which had got shut down also, because the paraxylene complex which are not competitive will naturally get shut down when this type of economics comes into play. Again, looking into the global, I've covered the aromatic supply chain. Now, if you look into the olefinic supply chain, what happens is the major olefins raw material are polyethylene and polypropylene. If you look at, we are also in both polyethylene and polypropylene. Presently, we are a little bit at an oversupply situation. And if you see the utilization rates presently in polyethylene are actually in the range of around, I can say around 78% to 75%. Whereas in PP, it is in the range of about 72% presently. And this capacity, these utilizations are expected to increase going up to 2030. So the polymer market, the olefin supply chain looks actually lucrative in the future. So India has also large plans. Many of the PSU refineries are coming up with actually a lot of PP and PE capacities also. But there are many actually speculative capacities being discussed by various global organizations or global companies. If those comes, the capacity utilizations would be ranging, hovering about around 80% only, and it would not go to around 90%. So it depends on actually how future investments goes. So if we now come into India's petrochemical trade balance, if you look at India, we are actually, I've just classified our building blocks, the 9 building blocks and the 22 intermediates and the 52 end products into how much we are importing. This is the trade balance, this is the Ministry of Commerce data only. How much of volumes we are importing. If you can see, the total about 22 MMT of actually product is being imported. And we have got about 38 MMTPA of actually installed capacity. So almost about 40 to 50% is still being imported, and this is growing. This market is growing at a CAGR of about 8 to 9%. So there is a large potential for domestic production and growth. This potential opportunities has to be taken. We have to actually leverage this, but however, we have to be careful about how much of global capacities also is coming up, because the capacities that are coming up are all in FTA countries, and we would have to compete with those actually those capacities. So going ahead, as India marches towards achieving a 5 trillion economy, the significance of petrochemicals is growing, and it will cater to growth areas like agriculture, automotive, packaging, construction, and many other, and manufacturing, and many other areas. Demand growth in the coming years is expected to be driven by the rising income of the middle class, shift in consumer preferences to healthier and more sustainable options, and is almost predicted to triple. And the petrochemicals sector is itself going to reach about 1 trillion by 2040. So in future of petrochemicals, India is promising, as the chemical market is forecasted to attract investment about 87 billion US dollars in the next decade. And India is going to account for around is expected to account for around 10% of the global petrochemical growth. So another thing that we have to do is reduce the reliance on imports and save on the foreign exchange. We need to address this growing need for polymer products. The Indian PSUs are farming up various plans to actually further invest in capacity building in petrochemicals. PSUs like us, like Indian Oil, we are exploring actually setting up styrene projects, PVC projects, PVC plants. So there are actually a lot of opportunities there in the market, and these opportunities needs to be actually looked into and exploited so that we save actually the precious foreign exchange also. So The key aspects would be understanding the market dynamics, because we have to be very careful, be very about what is happening globally also. In all this journey, we have to embrace sustainability, optimizing operations through value chain integration and leveraging digitalization to achieve cost leadership. As has already been discussed by earlier speaker, embracing sustainability, both decarbonization and circular economy principles, like circular plastic is another area, will guide practice and operations throughout the value chain. Very significant, actually, technology upgradations are coming into cracker technologies, like short residence time crackers, electric crackers are being discussed and are being, so these sustainable solutions are there in the market, and Indian refiners or Indian petrochemical producers will have to take advantage of those, have to explore, and it may become an industry norm. And globally, many customers, many look at actually sustainable polymers. The demand is for sustainable polymers. If you want to export, we will have to have sustainability footprint in our petrochemicals. With that, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.